Hello and welcome to the Crypto Club and Digital Assets weekly catch-up on Zoom. It is Sunday the 30th of June 2024, and as is always the case, we never quite know what we're going to be talking about in these sessions. Really depends upon who the audience is, what they want to talk about, but in the past we've talked about blockchain, DeFi, layer 1 solutions, layer 2 solutions, DePIN, CBDCs, NFTs, lots of other three-letter acronyms really. If you're a beginner, then this is a great place to start because you're more than welcome to come along and ask questions. And if you're somebody who's more experienced and would like to share details of their project, then come along and join in and you can give a pitch in our Gone in 180 Seconds. This is where you have 3 minutes to talk about your project. Anyway, if you like this, do remember to click on like, subscribe, make comments even better. Check out the link below, which tells you how to come along to a future meeting. So with that, let's see who's going to come and join us today. Hey, Elena. Good afternoon.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. JT, good evening.
Hey,
Hello.
Hey.
watching here the football in the background.
Oh, is there football playing, is there? Ah, that could explain why there aren't many people here today then.
Yeah.
England almost went out, but
Who's playing?
Slovakia. They were losing 1-0, and then in the last minute they scored 1-1.
Who are they playing against, sorry?
Slovakia.
No, who's Slovakia playing against?
England.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
suppose you assumed I would know that. I don't.
Yeah, no, you don't follow football at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So what's going on in the crypto world, JT? It's good that you can come and join us today. Tell us more.
Oh no, looks like everything is quiet. It's more about meme coins, and now a new one is gonna launch called T. There was one that was launched called Water. Went to 400 million market cap, and then it dumped. No, actually went to 1 billion market cap, and then the market maker dropped the tokens big time.
Okay.
It came right down to, I think, 100 million market cap, and then they moved. So these were the guys that launched the beer meme coin, and then they launched the water meme coin, and now there's some guys launching the tea meme coin. It looks like the theme has moved from dogs and cats now to drinks.
Okay, that's fair enough. We'll see. So there'll be a Chardonnay coin and a Sauvignon Blanc coin and a wine coin and all this kind of thing.
It's all about meme coins, And then there's that famous rapper launched a token called Mother. I think it nearly reached 1 billion market cap. I don't know, maybe closer. I didn't follow it, at all.
Okay.
I mean, it's all of these people, famous people now launching their meme coins. In the US as well, which I find nobody's fearful of the SEC anymore.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing,
Well, I guess the other thing as well, you see the IRS in the US has published its latest guidance on crypto taxation as well. And I was kind of curious. I'll just share the link for anyone who's interested where that's affected, because it says that they finalized their new regulations on crypto tax reporting. But I haven't actually read through yet to see what the actual changes are. It seems to be the platforms, so the exchanges who are being affected by this. But it also seems that the DeFi exchanges won't have to report this if they don't hold the assets themselves. So if you've got a DeFi crypto exchange, which is non-custodial, then they don't have to report stuff. Whereas if you're a centralized exchange or a decentralized custodial exchange, then you will need to report. So
yeah, of course, and this was coming. People have been talking about this for a long time, where there's no way for you to hide when it comes to taxes, because in the US, I'm talking about the US, the rest of the world is different, they're not so strong on that. But with this means that if you report something that is not real, they will know, because they have all the on-chain data,
Or at least you take a look at the RS guide, and it seems basically it's any custodial service provider needs to provide notification now. So I guess that,
Custodial. I don't know if it's custodial. I think it's exchanges, no?
yeah, it's custodial. It's exchanges who offer custody.
No. I think go back to the top. No, to
Yeah.
the headline.
Yeah, this is the
Sales and exchanges.
okay. So I guess that ties in more
It's
with
about
MiFID and that as well.
yeah, but broker reporting of sales and exchanges. Yeah, that's because if you have anything in custody, you don't do any tax.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, it's standard. I think it's across everywhere, you know. As long as you think they're gonna, you can't tax something that is an asset that you have,
Mm.
yeah, if the asset is not being moved, you know, if it's not traded. It's
Yep.
like you're having a house, you're paying tax on your house, you know, but you didn't sell it. You can't do that, yeah.
So there have been attempts to do that kind of thing in some countries, where they tried to introduce a tax on the value of your property, which you paid if the value of your property increased, even if you didn't sell the property. And then very quickly they realized that that actually meant that people would be kind of bankrupt in some way, because they'd have to sell their house simply because it's increased in value, and they had a tax liability. So most legislatures went away from that, I think.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Occasionally you'll hear a government or whatever saying, oh yeah, we're going to start introducing a tax on the value of the property, and if your property goes up in value, then we tax you on it. It's like, but that's just not going to work. So anyway, see as well. Did you see Bitcoin leapt up this morning? Last week it was settled around about $64,000, and it's been dropping away. It's been hovering around 61, and then about 8 o'clock UK time this morning, it did a sudden leap, and I've not seen any news stories to why that might be. But I guess
it's all manipulated. It's just
yeah.
the longs and shorts, you know.
Yeah.
I don't even look at it anymore because look, it's at 61K now. You know?
Mhm.
So it was at 60. It didn't go up by much. It went up by 1K only.
Well, it went. I'll show it on the screen now, where it went from like just on 61 to what's that, 61.7, 61.8. So that's was that a 1% leap in 15 minutes? Which in crypto terms, I agree, it's not kind of massive.
No,
But it looks like there was certainly some volume went
they
in
just
there as
make
well.
the graphs to look like it's something big now, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are producing the graphs. They are often, it's just a tweak that they do, you know?
Yeah.
Just changes very quickly. If you change your view,
Yeah, there you go. Well, there's the 1 minute where clearly it stepped up and stepped up and stepped up.
yeah.
You know, so it does look like there was some sort of potential buying going on in some way. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, it looks a really big leap, and then you realize it's actually 1% gain, which in crypto terms is not that significant, I
They
guess.
make it look like that on the graph, but
Yep.
you know, in
Yeah.
the numbers, you know, it's not that big thing.
Yeah.
But usually it's just someone that decided to buy on a Sunday morning.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's someone with a lot of money, obviously, or a lot of stables.
Exactly right. So have you been hearing any other news of anything that's been happening?
Oh, really, you know, I think this week has been quiet, but it's normal, you know, because of summer, and I think the most important news this week is probably what you just posted, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the tax thing is always an interesting one. And I was wondering as well about the ETFs beginning to settle down as well. Was it someone was announcing the other day that one of the ETF companies were about to launch, was it a Solana-based ETF? I saw the other day.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
look, I, I heard on that day people say, "Oh, it's going to be 9x from now onwards," and I'm like, "Dude, let's look at." He was actually in a group, yeah, that I'm part of, of traders and VCs and so on, and they're just saying, and when you look at the market cap of Solana, I think it's about 80 or 88 billion. I can't remember exactly,
Oh,
So,
that's good.
not even for 1 minute, I think that this is going to do more than 2 or 3x. It's not even worth an ETF in my perspective, because, yes, look at the market cap, fully diluted market cap.
6 billion.
Yeah, well, what it matters is that one, but people tend to look at the FDV, yeah. So 83 billion, it's at the bottom, yeah. 83 billion,
Yeah.
just times 9, that's like half $1 trillion. There's no way Solana is gonna do half $1 trillion, with the launch of an ETF. It's just not gonna happen, If you think well about what happened to Bitcoin, look, Bitcoin didn't go that much up, apart from the initial craziness of everyone coming back again to Bitcoin. Yeah. When you start to look at the value of the ETFs, what is it, 20 billion? The BlackRock one?
So something like that. It's what I'd consider
And that's
relatively
Bitcoin.
small. Yeah.
That's Bitcoin. Yeah. So I don't know. It's too much hype. And I think when the big money starts to exit, is gonna hurt a lot of people this time, a lot more than the 2021.
Well, this is the thing, people are talking about this being a repeat of when was it 2021 was when it hit $69,000 on
November,
Bitcoin, wasn't it? And drop.
It's gonna hurt, but it will still go up. Yeah, no doubt. I will cross the 100K. The cycle hasn't started, and this is what people don't understand. I hear a lot of people talking bullshit, honestly, but those guys, they sold, and they just want is the price to go down so they can buy low again, but the fact is that the cycle tends to really start, and it will be very, very quick, but it tends to start after the Bitcoin halving. Summer goes quiet, and then around September it kicks in, and then it goes quiet again, and then around mid-November it starts, and it doesn't stop until mid-2025, and I think we're going to see a repeat of 2021. We're going to have a double peak, because 2021 around April it really crashed down badly, from 63K to about 63, I think, if I'm not mistaken. 62 right down to 32 around that, and then went back up again, from September to November 2021, and then it 69, and then it just crashed down, and I think this time in 2025 we're going to see a double peak again. What's going to be the number? I said several times since 2020, end of 2022, I said several times to people, I think it's going to be anything between 112 and 140, take your pick.
Okay.
That's my predictions, but between now and then, so many things can change in the world. So many things,
Yeah.
It's just, if you actually look at the graph, this, I think you've seen the rainbow graph, yeah? No, let me see if I can find and share.
Okay.
It's like Bitcoin, it's just time clock, Let me just take a quick look.
And meanwhile, while you're digging around for that, Elena can tell us if there's any updates in the metaverse world.
Everything's still the same as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. I am expecting some big news coming out of the metaverse space. of some sort of big projects coming up soon? Because it seems to have gone a little bit quiet of late.
It's yeah, it's been a little bit quiet.
Mm.
I'm hoping I will. Well, it's the summer. It's the summer. I'm hoping I'll get a little bit more involved when I speak to Gillian Godzel, who's
Yeah.
been a little bit busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then of course I'll be sharing all the news straight away.
Excellent. That'll be good. Because I think it's kind of odd because people are saying about, oh, it's summer. It's only summer in the West. You know, in other countries it's winter and that kind of. And if you look at the likes of South Korea, which is in its own cycle, both season-wise but also crypto-wise, I find there's lots of stuff going on in South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, and that. This whole idea of, oh, it's summer, so everyone's gone away, doesn't actually always truly work in that respect.
You can see it has over the cycles as they started to be measured, like in 2013 onwards. Yeah, it always hit the red, almost always. So in 2021, almost hit the red. It went to orange.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this time we'll go to. If you go to 2025, yeah, stay there. 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go right down to the orange bit, yeah, on the rainbow chart, just point on the orange bit.
So here.
A bit more to the right, 2025. Let's say middle 2025.
Okay, I'm with you.
I would say, you see 130K?
Yeah.
I would say probably between 112 to about 140.
Okay.
That's what I'm expecting. I don't think it will go to red because it went to red before because the money was just on Bitcoin. Yeah. Now there are several cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Lots of meme coins, money spread all over, So I think most probably, and again, no financial advice of anyone.
Absolutely.
But it has been like clockwork, So where we are today, you can see on the chart, yeah, we actually compared with where we should be. We are a bit higher where we should be, but it's okay,
But I guess if you use this chart to its full extent, I mean, this is talking about Bitcoin potentially hitting a base of 27 to 35 in some reasonable future.
Yeah, what has happened was that people jump too early on because of the news on ETF. So today it's above of what it should be. The healthy, I would say, no, it doesn't matter. Healthier should be around 45 to 52K at the moment, So that's the healthy part. I don't think it's too healthy to be where it is today, but hey, it's Bitcoin, so it will always do well,
Yeah, but it's interesting as well because this is one of the problems now. As human beings, we're very good at spotting patterns, but as human beings, we're also very good at spotting patterns that don't actually exist. And we can kind of see it here that if you look at these early days where there's quite clearly peaks and troughs and it's operating within a margin in there. But back in 2014, the whole crypto market was completely different. I mean, this was the point at which Bitcoin was $200 or $260.
It went down because there was all the problems about the empty box hack, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just went right down, and then some of the forks. There was a lot of bullshit at the time. I remember, really a lot, And then Ethereum appeared, yeah, but he recovered then after, very quickly.
But this is my kind of thesis that I think that the market in this area, which is like what 2013 to 2016, was a period where Bitcoin was below $1,000. Bitcoin and Ethereum were probably the only two main cryptocurrencies around at that stage. And in 2016, Ethereum had not long launched, didn't even have smart contracts established. I think they were 2017 in the main. So you then got this block of mid to late 2016 through to 2020, where all of a sudden you've got the whole programmability of Ethereum kicks in, Bitcoin gains popularity. We're now talking about Bitcoin heading up towards $20,000 and that. I think that was a different market. And then from 2020 onwards, I think this is where the institutional players start coming in and the big whales start taking an interest. You know, when Bitcoin was around about $10,000 and there was this FOMO type thing and it leapt again. And it's interesting with this chart being logarithmic, then the distance between like $10,000 here and nearly $60,000 2 years later doesn't look that big, whereas this looks massive because it's in the sense, you know, back in 2011 it was like when it was like $14 that kind of thing. So it's interesting. I think we start seeing patterns that may not actually exist, but I also think we fail to recognize that the market we're now in, where Bitcoin is just one of how many thousand cryptocurrencies, but realistically, there are, you know, several contenders now. That there's not just Bitcoin, but there's Ethereum, Solana, BNB.
Doesn't matter, Gary, because Bitcoin always performs, you know. It's because of the mechanics of the asset as well, you know.
Yep.
So with Ethereum, yes, of course, Ethereum will continue, and there's not even a question. And I think over time, blockchains like Solana, Near, and so on, I think they'll take over. For the simple fact that Ethereum, it's unworkable, you know, and wait until the L2 start to be hacked further and further. And I think I predicted this next cycle. If people think the hacks in 2021 and 2022 was bad, wait and see now, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, people done more with security, but there's always ways around, you know? Always. It's not about brute force. It's about clever, you know?
You're right. And I was at an event last week where we were talking about AI, and it's some quite senior people in some quite well-known organizations, shall we say, in the finance sector. And interestingly, talking to some of the cybersecurity people about using large language models trained on the dark web for hacking is quite a scary thing, because it means you're interested in another dynamic of you've got the dark web then being used to train effectively automated bots to go and attack. And it's not so much crypto, but it is certainly cryptography and you know, all the hacks that are coming on. Then you throw in quantum into the mix, and whether you believe quantum is at the level that some people are claiming it is or not, could potentially have an impact. Then you've got quantum resistance cryptography coming on. So there's a lot. I agree. There's a lot of things going on in this space, and I think there's a whole range of new attack vectors that we're not yet seeing that will soon start emerging. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I was curious as well. Have you been following, or either of you been following the developments of NN News? So NN News, for those who don't know, in computers, you've got CPUs, so central processing units. You've got GPUs, which are the graphical processing units. Now you're seeing the growth of what are known as NNU chips, which are effectively really, really complex chips that are AI on a chip. So think of artificial intelligence but built into a chip. And that gets really interesting, because I think NVIDIA are doing some work in there, Apple are doing a load of stuff, Microsoft doing a load of stuff. If you end up with a device like a laptop or a mobile phone, which has got an NNU chip enabled in it, it can effectively act as a keylogger on your own device. and no one quite knows where it's going to be sending that information to and that. So this is why Elon Musk, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, announced that if Apple embed this technology into their devices, he'll ban them from use in any of the companies that he runs.
You're talking about NPU.
NPU, sorry, not NNU.
I was
NPU.
confused there because
Yeah.
NNU, I was like, what's that? That's something new for me.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, you're right.
It stands for
NPU is a neural processing unit. So it's a microchip that behaves less like the way CPUs and GPUs work of ones and zeros and logic gates, but behaves more like how the brain operates. So it's a different architecture, but it's a way of increasing the capability of a chip quite powerfully. So if you think about how microchips typically, I can't remember what Moore's law is now, but they double their capability every 3 years, I think it is, and halve their price. And NNU, because it's a new chip style approach, might allow faster processing to be achieved sooner. And so the interesting thing from a crypto perspective is it means if you've got an NPU chip, thank you, JC, it's NPU, not NNU, then effectively you've got your own little spy on a device, which means that if you're creating a new wallet, for example, well, one of the things about creating a wallet is that you should do it offline on a dedicated device that's got no internet connection whatsoever, so that when the seed is created, it's not expressed externally, so it can't be recreated. Well, if you've now got this little spying chip on your device, then there's potential that could then speak to the home chip effectively and share your private key, which is quite worrying.
I wouldn't touch any device with an NPU. Okay, and that's what Apple is doing with OpenAI, and I mean it's really this is the ultimate spying tool. Okay, so I have no doubt that there are a couple of governments behind this as well, and that's why Elon Musk and majority of people that understand AI and computing are warning about this. This is very, and let me explain you even further what will be possible. Hackers will always find a way to hack. If you find your way to hack into an NPU, you create an army of things out there that it's unmanageable, really, what you can then do. A proper hacker, a proper government, it can change so many things everywhere. Disable in one go every single. Let's say all the Apple phones now have NPUs. Yeah, they will tell you, it's built with this guard and with this cryptography or whatever. There's always a way around it. Yeah, and imagine somebody finds it, can take control of pretty much every single Apple device afterwards. So this is they are now going to a level that I think it's a big mistake. Big mistake, because while it's an AI software, there's a way always to have some level of control. Once it goes to an NPU, to a processor level, you give it a lot more power, to whoever is creating that processor or has the ability to update the BIOS on those processors, for example. And I think BIOS are going to be a thing of the past. They'll be updatable, easier updatable, okay? And it's not going to be the way the BIOS is updated.
And that's the thing as well, funnily enough, I was speaking to somebody about this today, that if you've got a way of interacting with BIOS, so for Elena's benefit or anyone else who's listening who doesn't know what BIOS is, but basically it's the operating system of the computer sitting on disk, so that when the computer boots up, actually I can't even remember with BIOS, is it firmware, if I remember correctly? It used to be firmware, So it's on the chip. So when the computer boots up, then it's a set of initial instructions that tell the computer what to do to then load its full operating system. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's basically an hardware initialization. So hardware can't work. Yeah, it's just hardware. It's just there. It doesn't matter processor or whatever chip. Yeah, it needs to have instructions to initialize it. Yeah, so that specific processor or chip then has some sort of software. Yeah, installed, and that's what's called firmware or BIOS. Yeah. Uh, uh, well, BIOS is firmware, yes, but it's what it provides really these initial instructions for the hardware while the computer is booting. And then the operating system is installed on top of that.
Mm. Yeah, it's been a while since I've needed to even know about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's easy to forget, Gary. I forget often as well.
Yeah. But certainly the whole thing about the BIOS is kind of like the gold dust, that if you make it a programmable BIOS in some way, then that means you could effectively inject things way before any antivirus or monitoring things notice anything. So that's a really interesting thing. So yeah, yet another attack surface, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a bit more complex. The architecture of these NPUs are something quite advanced. Okay, so it will evolve, of course, over time. Yeah, so both Intel, AMD, and of course Apple with that announcement. Yeah, have been making plans for this for quite some years. And it scares the hell out of me, to be honest. Really scares. Yes, okay, it's good because it accelerates all the neural operations, NN operations, and neural network operations, and all the tasks that an AI has to perform and all of that. Mm-hmm. But it's okay for being on a data centers. Yeah, for example, if you want to run NPUs, should be really optimized on data centers to run data-driven, parallelization computing, parallel computing. Okay, so that makes really highly efficient in processing the data, massive amounts of data including videos and images. Okay, and that's okay for training models or all of these. Big supporter that if they design NPUs for these specific things, yeah. But actually creating NPUs to actually be deployed on people's devices, this is a different level. It's really, really bad. I'm totally against that.
It's an interesting thing again. I'll give an example to put some context on the potential impact of this. So Samsung mobile phones have got inbuilt AI capabilities. It's not an NPU yet, but they are using AI features. And one of the interesting features that came about that people noticed was if you take a photo of the moon, the camera on Samsung mobile phones is phenomenal. I've got a device which has got like 100 times zoom on it, but it's digital zoom. Okay, and so if you see the moon and it's full moon and you zoom right in, the imagery is incredible. You can see craters and all sorts of things, and you go, "Wow, that's incredible!" How it does that. However, someone tried an experiment, and they got a piece of card. I think it's a piece of black card with a white circle on it, and they got the Samsung mobile phone to look at that black image with a white circle on it, and magically it created an image of the moon. And so you've got inbuilt processing capabilities to manipulate images. So everyone was thinking this was taking brilliant photos of the moon. All it is actually the Samsung AI is going, this looks like you're trying to zoom in on a picture of the moon. Here's a picture of the moon we've actually got. Let's kind of manipulate it and make it look as though it's your thing. That is vastly powerful. If you think about what happens if you get AI-powered CCTV, so closed-circuit TV, and it's got an AI device which automatically interprets, reanalyzes, and puts out a different signal of what it wants you to see, type thing. So I'd love to have a conversation with some lawyers about the future of digital imagery in court cases. Because if the image has been captured using an AI-enabled device, how do you verify that it's not cheating? How do you verify it's not doing something to the image? So I find that really, really interesting. And then you think about, the hacking potential because it could siphon off data and all this kind of thing. So yeah, I agree, JT. It's quite a worrying thing. What
So
it
when
could lead to.
the architecture, that is being designed at the moment, one of the architectures is that NPUs are complementary to the processor, to CPUs and to GPUs. Okay, so nobody at the moment is thinking about substituting. You still need a CPU. I mean, there's no way around that. Okay, so it is kind of attached to a CPU, and what it does, while the GPU still does all the active image creation, resolution, rendering, all of that stuff, the CPU takes care of also all the functions that it does, calculations, etc. But what GPUs really go is it'll be more specialized at actually doing AI-driven tasks. Yeah, and they will do it faster. Yeah. So what that means is that there's not one of these three processors that gets really overwhelmed. Yeah. And so you get much smoother operations. So for example, if you are in a video conference call, yeah, the NPU will take care of the blurring like Elena has in the background. Yeah. That will be done by the NPU. These are AI-driven tasks. Yeah. While the GPU is taking really care of rendering the images, yeah, or more intensive tasks is all of the imaging related to the video conference, yeah, or if you're producing an image, it doesn't really matter, yeah. So what it means is these NPUs can actually handle object detections, face, backgrounds, all of this stuff that AI is being trained for, yeah. So it's super interesting what you are saying. Is it going to be the AI who's going to, sorry, the NPU that is going to do this? I don't think it will, because if they create that sort of architecture, then yes, you are right. There's going to be a problem. But if if the NPU just does the object detection and blurs the background, if it doesn't change, if it doesn't have the capacity to change anything on what's being captured, yeah, then we're safe. But if they enable the ability to capture, then yes, I mean it's bad. Yeah?
Well, it's kind of interesting if you look at the different chipsets operate differently, but they've kind of got some common themes. So in Intel, for example, so most Microsoft devices use either Intel or AMD chips. Intel have got what's known as the SGX area. So that's the secure guard extension, if I remember the letters correctly. And effectively, it's just a part of the chip that is locked away that allows you to do certain protected execution of instructions. So like only system instructions can be operated through the SGX. If you start introducing an NPU layer in some way for that SGX, then that means that you've lost the control over things like private key creation or private key management even potentially. So I just worry that the more they start putting into these protected areas, these secured areas, where you're losing control of it and it can be monitored, that kind of thing. Yeah, I've just got a whole range of worries about future architectures.
Yeah, I'm concerned is what Apple is doing, and believe me, I won't touch any Apple. And if Samsung does that as well, I would stop using Samsungs. there's people already coming up with new phones, yeah, and you just move to a new one. That's it, yeah. But because it, what they are doing with the NPUs is a truly invasive, because it's the AI is going to manage all of those tasks that you do on your phone. And to do that, it needs to have access to it, obviously, you know. Where is the data going as well? Okay. I mean, it will be in your terms and conditions when you buy your phone. If you buy the phone, you have to accept those terms and conditions. If you don't want, don't buy the phone. That's what they will say there. And what you're gonna do?
Well, you've already got that. I happen to know with Samsung that they've got inbuilt capabilities that you're right. You have to agree to the terms and conditions to install the software on your phone, which you don't realize you have to sign up to at the point at which you purchase the phone.
Of course.
And so, you know, Samsung's got some actually really nice features that help the customer in some ways, you know, protect against things going wrong and recovery and that kind of thing.
I'm good with that, you know.
Yeah, but the problem is that it also gives them the ability, if they wish to turn a Samsung phone into a brick. And you know, I'm not picking on Samsung. I suspect this is the case with all of the mobile manufacturers.
No, they can't. Samsung can't do that.
Is that right?
They can't. They can't do that. Nope.
Okay.
They can't do that because there's on a phone there are things that are built into it, yeah, that you have. It has to be the user to accept for something to happen on the phone. Be an update on your operating system, whatever is the user, because that's the user phone. You're not renting a phone, you're not leasing a phone. So that's enabled there, yeah? But there are things that you need to agree when you buy, yeah? A phone when you, and majority of times is your network. Yeah? The problem is not with the actual phone manufacturer, it's always with a network, because those are the terms and conditions that will have different things. So, for example, if you buy a phone, I don't know, on the 3 network or whatever, for the phone in UK, when you get the phone home, let's say a contract, it comes flashed with the Android version that they created themselves. Yeah, it's not a vanilla Android version. It's the actual network itself deploy their version of the Android into your device. Yeah, so of course there are things there that you accept those terms, I don't have a problem. If you don't want that, you don't use the phone. My problem is if they build these NPUs into the hardware of the phone, that's a different level, you know? And this is why Elon Musk came out with this warning, you know, because he knows what's going to happen there with OpenAI and Apple, you know?
Just for interest, by the way, anyone does want to check out, and again, I'm not picking on Samsung, but if you check out Samsung Knox, which is built into Samsung devices these days, and this provides endpoint security for businesses and this kind of thing. But it's something anyone who's got a Samsung phone, they will have gone through part of the Knox process, I would expect, where they have to agree to certain terms and conditions, and it controls the boot up and it controls the firmware updates and everything. And I'd never really thought about this particularly until I saw how it is that Samsung devices can detect what type of headphone you're using. And if it's not an approved headphone, then it blocks it. And you think about, you know, headphones on mobile phones, it's just a USB 3 connection, but they've got the ability to actually detect what version of software you have in the headphone that you've plugged into your mobile phone. And if it's not an approved device, so in Samsung's case, I think the product's AKG that they market it through. If it's not an AKG device, you can't use it on your phone. So that they've definitely got abilities to do a lot of things. And again, not picking on Samsung, I think that's the case with most of the mobile phone providers. And if you look at, as you say, Elon Musk's concern with Apple doing some things, Microsoft announced recently with Windows 11 that they're going to be doing more things where they'll offer a capability where your laptop is monitored, and effectively every 5 seconds, a snapshot will be taken of what's happening on the computer, which can be fine if you're looking for a device that is easily recoverable and that kind of thing. But equally, if you're using your laptop to create some cryptographically secured, encrypted, protected documents, messages, images, crypto wallets, or whatever, what you really don't want is someone taking a snapshot of that process.
They'll never get away with it in Europe, for example. I would doubt the UK would agree with that, but
Yeah.
man, in UK, I expect anything now because there's no limit on anything. I don't think majority of the controls, ethics, everything I've seen around is just gone off,
Yeah.
completely. With the Samsung, someone told me a couple of years ago, and I don't want to try this. If you try to hack deep into your Samsung phone, it actually burns the processor because of NOx. The architecture that you mentioned is really to protect you and your data. That's why NOx was built and a lot of this stuff around Samsung phones. Yeah, of course it doesn't really matter because you're running Android on them. The problem is not with the phone. The problem is always with the operating system. So Android is not safe. Apples are not safe. People can hack on Apples and on the Androids, not because of the hardware. Actually, on Apple it was because of the hardware a few times. But Samsung's gone safer and safer in terms of hardware. Yeah. So I honestly, anything that comes with an NPU on a device, you should, in my opinion, I'm with Elon Musk on this, you should look for another device. And soon they will change their mind. Well, they won't because majority of people don't care. That's the problem.
Well, I think that's the thing, that majority of people don't realize what they're exposing themselves to.
Yeah.
And are willing to trade off actually this kind of looks quite good and it's useful and it's handy. Whereas it might actually
that is done on purpose.
Yeah,
it's built with all of those nice and things and bell and whistles. People say, "Ooh, this is cool. I did this."
Exactly. Isn't this great? And then you realize you've given all your personal information away in some way. So, that's probably a good time to finish off the evening then of setting some seeds of concern about the future and what risks there are with hardware and operating systems and everything. So JC, thank you very much for sharing those pearls of wisdom to make me not sleep at night.
Yeah, wait until the centralized AI starts to come out. I'm talking about true decentralized AI, not the bullshit that people are creating in Web3. That's the bullshit. Majority is true bullshit. It's not proper decentralized AI. They put some stuff on the blockchain and they call it decentralized AI.
I agree. That's where I'm saying to people at the moment, the thing to be watching out for is edge-based AI, where the compute capability is on the end devices, not in a centralized environment. So that's probably a topic for another week. So we'll cover that in the future. So
let's start the next week with that. It's sounding really interesting.
It is a fascinating area, definitely. So, right, folks, Elena, JT, thanks for joining. For anyone who's watching the recording, hope you enjoyed that. Do come and join us on a future session. And have a great day, everyone.
And go Switzerland, go.
Cheers then. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.